FS Elite at FlightSimExpo 2024 is proudly brought to you by AnyBuilds. Check out their amazing range of scenery, which includes Luton, JFK, Heathrow, and many more across the world.
All right, how y'all doing? I didn't come too far from Las Vegas because I just live in North Las Vegas. So not too far, but I will say first, thanks for coming to Las Vegas. Thanks for paying my state taxes. All right, I appreciate that. Anybody that gambled today, I also appreciate your time here as you helped my son go to free public school. So first things first, it's a little warm outside. It's showing 97 degrees. If you guys are okay with it, I'm going to pretend I'm sitting down in the cockpit. The jacket's coming off. All right, I only put this jacket on because a friend told me I needed to. All right, so first things first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about, if you really want to do this for a living, how you can go from your home cockpit to the real thing. So a little bit of what we're going to cover today: who am I, pre-flight, takeoff. We're going to talk about cruise once you get there. All right, and then we're going to go to the arrival, the approach. We'll touch down. We'll take it back to the gate. All right, and then we'll talk about the ground crew that's helped me get where I am today. First things first, who am I? Well, I'm a family man. I'm a married man to a lovely young lady that I met in the barbershop at Nellis Air Force Base. We've got 2 kids. One's grown, one's 4, and all he wants to do is fly airplanes and fly on Dad's sim. So that's pretty cool to know that I can pass this on to the next person with the same last name. Lots of friends in the audience, lots of friends here. Thank you all for coming. Big thing is, I'm a pilot for American Airlines. Okay, and American Airlines, they're very big on this captain world, right? So if you want, yes, I'm a captain on the 737 at American Airlines. I've been there for 2.5 years. But for me, I'm just a pilot. I'm also a flight engineer in the United States Air Force Reserves on the KC-10 as the aircraft divests in September of this year. And then I do a lot of mentoring for a lot of students that want to be pilots. They want to get into the aviation industry. For the pre-flight, what was my first simulator? What's your first simulator? For some of you, your first flight sim was Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I am Microsoft Flight Simulator 1998. Where's the flight sim today? Goodness gracious. Well, anybody sat in the room yesterday for the announcements from from Asobo? Let's forget where it is today. Let's talk about where it's going near future in November, right? Now I'm going to have to worry about antennas just like I do at work. Gosh, that's where it's going. So, but where can your flight sim take you? Well, right here. Okay? You can put 4 stripes on your shoulders, a decent wage, and I can live anywhere I want to as long as I'm willing to commute. Okay? I commute 5 hours home and about 4.5 hours to work, as I'm Miami-based on the 737 at American. So, commuting from Las Vegas, I will do it tonight on the red eye, off to Miami to fly my next trip. Taxi, where do you want to go? There's so many industries in the world of aviation. Okay? You could be a pilot. But where can you be a pilot? You can be a pilot in the military. You can be a pilot in the airlines. You can be a corporate private pilot. Okay? Or you can just be that person that may have some medical issues, and you're a sport pilot. And you wait for a nice clear day that we have almost every day here in Las Vegas. But you got to hope that it's not too hot so that the density altitude allows you to actually get airborne. But some people, it's just not going to work for you. But not because you didn't want the dream of being a pilot, but things just didn't work out that way. So maybe you're the person that's responsible for getting the pilots airborne and to their destination. Maybe you're a dispatcher. Maybe you're an aircraft mechanic. You're an A&P. Okay? Maybe you're a crew chief in the military, keeping airplanes flying. Okay? Airplanes don't belong to the pilots. Airplanes belong to the mechanics. All right? If you can understand that as a pilot, you're going to make it through your career real well. Some people are going to be air traffic controllers. Hey, I tell air traffic controllers, if I wasn't a pilot, you wouldn't have a job. All right? But I thank them every day for keeping me safe, making sure that one knucklehead's not going to crash into another knucklehead. All right? But the big thing is, too, some of you will be who you are today because maybe 50 years ago, you were told that you didn't have the eyesight. Maybe the military just wasn't hiring at that time. So you went and found other careers. You became engineers and doctors. Okay, you became firefighters and police officers. But you still went out and made a career for yourself. And now you have Flight Simulator in your home to still kind of close that gap of the dream that you once had that sometimes you still do have. My new hire class at American Airlines, I had a gentleman that had just turned 58 years old. He was only going to be good for 7 years in the airlines. But at least he can say that he was a pilot at the world's largest airline. And it says enthusiasts, but we all know that once you have the bug and you've been bit, you're screwed. All right? This hobby is not cheap, and, well, it's not getting any cheaper. All right? On Friday, I picked up my brand new rig, and let's just say I'm glad I'm a captain at American Airlines. All right? So, but don't worry, my 49 is going to take me lots of places. The big thing is next. Now it's time for takeoff. Where are we starting? We're starting right here in our home. Okay? I just had a young gentleman yesterday that came and joined us here at the conference. 19 years old. Never seen a flight simulator in his home. But guess what? I'm going to make sure that he has a flight simulator now. Because he came in here and he was like, I had no idea that this was a thing. Okay? Prime example, there's a gentleman right here. He used to be my flight attendant at Mesa Airlines. Nobody would have ever said that Levi would have been a commercial pilot looking for the next job. Okay? But he's a married man, has kids, and he's making the dream happen. Totally different. You know, hey, I've been a flight attendant. I tell all my flight attendants every time I step on the jet, hey, once you got everybody here, we'll do a brief. I give them a brief, and the first thing is, I've done your job before. Okay? 737-800 is a long airplane. So what I'm feeling up front in the cockpit is not what the two flight attendants in the back are feeling. Okay? So light turbulence procedures, that's on your call, not mine. If I think it's going to be any worse than that, then I'll make a PA and say, hey, flight attendants, take your seats. All I ask is that you please make sure that your carts are locked in place, put in park, and then go ahead and take a seat and pull out a book. All right? Once we get to some smooth air, then we'll talk about that later and you can get back up. Where do you go from your home build? Well, if you think this is what you really want to do, go take a discovery flight, please. Okay? Because some people, they can sit all day long at their flight simulator. They can look at airplanes, take pictures, but then when you go get in the airplane in Las Vegas, when it's 109 degrees outside in a Cessna 172, and you're sweating every last grain of fat in your body, it's just going down your shirt because the engine ain't running yet. Okay? Then they're like, oh my gosh. And you have your flight instructor with you. We're not going to let you just jump in an airplane without a flight instructor. But you got your flight instructor with you, and you're like, is the air going to come on at some point in time? And they're like, oh yeah, no worries. Then you get airborne. And there's these things called thermals, right? And they rise in a clockwise form. And everybody's like, what is turbulence? Well, what is turbulence? Well, I'll give you a prime example of what turbulence is. Come and fly Grand Canyon tours with me back on my first job. And it's just going to be turbulent the whole way. Why? Because that's what winds and heat will do to you every day. And a thermal is like a straw. Every bump you feel is when you enter the center of the straw and when you exit the straw. Okay? It's like looking at a hurricane in a small circular form. So you get airborne, you're like, oh, is there a bag? Do you have a bag? Like a lined bag with plastic in it? Because I don't feel great. All right, so you get through that, and you're like, is it always like that? And the instructor says, no, it's not always like that. Come back and fly in the winter, okay? But then after that, you say, you know what, this is for me. What's next? I go find the next local flight school. Anybody from a small town, you only have one airport in your town. Here in Las Vegas, got 4. Because I'm not counting Ellis Air Force Base, because you're not going to go fly a Cessna out of there, okay? But we got Boulder City, Henderson, McCarran International Airport, which you're not going to do your flight training out of, but you will fly into the airport to do a touch and go, so you can say that you got your Class Bravo transition into a Class Bravo airport. And then the North Las Vegas Airport.
FS Elite at FlightSimExpo 2024 is proudly brought to you by Pimax. Check out their Pimax Crystal Light right now for some of the best VR headsets available today.
After that, some of you will go to college. Some of you are in high school right now, and all you want to do is fly airplanes, and that's awesome. But what I want people to know right here, right now, and I'm a living product of it, my buddy Nick in the back is a living product of it. We graduated from Rancho High School, an aviation magnet program here in Las Vegas. And the big thing is everybody wanted to go to the Air Force Academy. They wanted to go to Embry-Riddle, the University of North Dakota, because they had the top 3 flight schools in the world, right? The Harvard of Aviation, Embry-Riddle. But guess what? College is not for everybody. But what is a pilot's license? It's a trade. It's a trade. And I am living proof that I have 3 associate's degrees and no bachelor's degree, because for some reason they don't all mix together. And I'm a captain at the world's largest airline. And I will never forget the day that my high school aviation teacher told my parents and myself that I would never amount to anything because I didn't have the patience to sit and let things take their course. Well, here I am today, and I make more money than my aviation teacher with his Air Force full bird colonel retirement. And I'm living the dream. And I'm talking to you kind folks today to tell you that all of this is possible. Now, do I think that you shouldn't go out and get your degree? No, because every day I wake up to my grandfather that's been like my father figure to remind me that I don't have my 4-year degree yet, and so now I am completing it now that I can afford it, and my family is in a comfortable place. Just to please, got to get that piece of paper. So after that, some of you might go to the military. Okay? I told you I'm a flight engineer on the KC-10. One of the world's greatest 3-hole airplanes. All right? KC-10 is untouchable. I can carry 340,000 pounds of gas, and I can give every drop of it to another airplane. But we want to reuse the airplane, so we'll leave a little for us. Okay? But I've also taken off for my deployment at a Travis Air Force Base in California and flown 16 hours and 20 minutes all the way to Al Dhafra in the Middle East. I'm an enlisted personnel, but they call me an enlisted aviator. I'm 1% of 1% of 1% of the 1%. Because 1% of the United States population joined the Air Force. 1% of that are officers that fly airplanes. 1% of that are enlisted aviators. And 1% of that are flight engineers in the Air Force Reserves. Dying breed, but we ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So you want to take the military route? Well, guess what? Now you need a 4-year degree. Unless you choose to join the Army and fly those weird things where your wing spins around the top of your head. It's kind of weird. I like my wing to stay where it was put, all right? But yes, you can have an associate's degree. You can have some college credits. You can join the Army, be a warrant officer, fly helicopters. Still putting warheads on foreheads, okay? If that's what you want to do, that possibility is there. But now today we have these awesome things called RPAs, remotely piloted aircraft. Let's say you join the Air Force, all you want to do is fly airplanes. But there's something medically wrong that the Air Force just won't let you get into that airplane. Okay? Your dream's not over. You can go out and fly a remotely piloted aircraft, a Reaper, because the Predators are gone. And you can still go out and fight that mission. Okay? You might sit in an office, you might sit at a desk, but at least it's air conditioned. Okay? When you strap on an F-16, you got to wait till you get some engines running before you get some air. And guess what? You got a big helmet on it, and it's 115 degrees outside, and we're not talking about the heat that's coming off the ground. It's just the ambient air temperature. All right? Or you can go to the airline flight academies because those things are real now. Okay? When you go to Europe, these things have been real. They've been huge. You go to Phoenix, Arizona, you can find the Lufthansa Flight Academy, Sabina Flight Academy, and the list goes on. JAL, Air China. Why? Because Phoenix has clear blue skies 98% of the time. Okay? And the elevation's a little lower than Las Vegas. Okay? So with that, I now have 5 students here from American Airlines that are down in Texas that are taking the American Airlines Cadet Academy. It's a program that as long as they stick through it, they have a guaranteed job at American Airlines at the end of their career. So all these things are possible. This is how you're going to get your takeoff stage. Let's go on. All right, so now we've reached our cruise altitude, right? We've done our flight training. We're looking for that job. What do you do with your flight simulator? Do you kick it to the side? Heck no. You keep on flying. Okay? Because while you're in your pilot training, you should be using your flight simulator to help you keep proficient, because if you're not flying at least 3 days a week when you're out there doing your flight training, you're wasting money. I don't know about you, but I know that most of us don't have $150,000 just sitting in the checking account that we can dedicate just to flight training. Okay? Anybody in flight training right now? Okay? Some of you have to work just to pay for the next flight. Well, when you get in the airplane with your flight instructor, and the flight instructor says, all right, well, let's do a little bit of what we did on the last lesson. No, how about we not? Okay? I get it. You're trying to make a living. You're making your $20-something an hour as a flight instructor. Don't worry. Your airline job is coming. But right now, I'm the student. This is my money. I want to go through all the lessons, and then we'll come back and refresh it. Okay? But now you did that, and now we're looking for the job. Or maybe you're the flight instructor, and you're like, is this ever going to end? I got student loans. Okay? Me. Okay? Been flying in the world of aviation for 20 years, and I just last year made my last payment on my student loans. $50,000 in 90 days at ATP, finally gone. Okay? So keep flying on the sim. Keep flying an airplane. Keep renting an airplane. Go find somebody that needs a time build just like you and say, hey, do you want to split the cost? Let's go from Las Vegas to Sedona and back. Okay? But make sure you do your homework on the airports, because it's like landing on an aircraft carrier in Sedona. The drive. Never stop asking real pilots, never stop asking retired pilots how they got there. Still to this day, I've reached what I could say is almost the top of my career until I've become a check airman. That I still to this day, when I sit down in the cockpit, hey man, how'd you get here? And they're just the first officer. Because it's not just a first officer. We have the same exact training. The only difference is I've been there a little longer than the person over here. Or maybe the person over here has been here way longer than I have, and they got lots of seniority in the company. But they don't need to make some astronomical money to enjoy life. Quality of life. They just want to make sure they have every holiday off, every kid's sporting event off, every anniversary off. And that's called seniority and quality of life. So keeping that sim life alive is pretty crazy. And there's an American Airlines captain here, Mr. Terry. How are you, sir? We do the same job. But guess what? I'm not the only nerd out there flying on my Microsoft Flight Simulator or flying DCS with crazy cockpit setups and things like that and doing this for a living. Okay? And people at work are like, you do what? I'm sorry. You commute 5 hours one way, 4.5 hours the other way to fly an airplane, and then you come home and you're like, honey, do you have any plans? No? Okay, awesome. I'm going to do some beta testing for PMGG. I don't know. All right, so keep it going. All right? But don't let yourself burn out. Terry, I don't know about you, but I love my PMGG 737. But when I go home, I don't fly it. Okay? I do it at home. Or I do it at work. I don't fly it. But I will turn on that airplane if I'm going to a special use airport that I've never been before. Okay? Or flying with my buddy here in our virtual pseudo Fortune 500 company fleet of airplanes that we have. Yes, I do have a pseudo 500 company. And I own 2 BBJs, one for me, one for my wife. And then I have a BBJ-2 that's for the company. So, here, I'm not going to lie to you. It was kind of nice because I didn't have to turn my sim on and fly my BBJ to Vegas because it's already here. All right? But my buddy Liam down here, he did fly his BBJ from Savannah, Georgia to Las Vegas so he could say that he was here. All right? Don't burn out. Fly stuff that you don't normally fly. Okay? The MD-11. Amazing. Okay? Don't worry. I got my serial number, less than 1,000. All right? We were on it. I called him super early in the morning. Hey, get up. Are you awake? Awesome. It's out. Go buy the MD-11. All right? So that's what we're doing. Okay? We're not going to burn out. DCS. It's a whole nother world. Okay? I wasn't lucky enough to have my 4-year degree early enough. If it's offered to me now to go to undergraduate pilot training in the Air Force, I'm about to be 38 years old. I'm not going to play the young man's game. Okay? I've already made it at American Airlines. No need for me to step away from American for 3 years to move my family around to go to different pilot training programs to learn new airplanes. Okay? Quality of life. Remember that. So now we're on the star, or we're on the arrival, right? Now you're starting your career. You got this job. This is where Levi's getting ready to get ready. All right? He's looking for that job. He's ready to go. And everybody's like, I don't want to go here. I don't want to go there. I don't want to work for this company. But guess what? The best company is the first one that calls you. Because this goes for anybody out there. If you're looking for a job, it's always easier to get a job when you have a job. Okay? So when somebody offers you a job, I'll take it. Because what you might not know is that might be the place where you skyrocket to the top. Because there's a whole bunch of people that had the same mindset as you that didn't want to work for that company. Prime example. We work for a company called Mesa Airlines. Okay? If you're a pilot or you know anything about it, the airlines, Mesa Airlines, oh, it's the worst regional airline out there. To an extent. It allowed me to be a pilot. It allowed me to upgrade to be a captain. It allowed me to be an instructor. It allowed me to be a recruiter to travel the country, giving other people the opportunity to be an airline pilot. Gave me the opportunity to have a management position in the company. And it gave me the experience that I needed to move on to where I am today. Might not have paid the most money. And I hear some of these first officers, they're like, oh, we only make this much money. Yeah, well, good talk, buddy. My first airline job, I made $16 an hour. In 2006, flying Grand Canyon tours. My first day at Mesa Airlines, I made $26 an hour. Big upcome, huh? All right. So you get that first job. Guess what? Your first job is going to be flying a Cessna Caravan. Where can I find a Cessna Caravan? On my flight sim. Okay? No, the flight sim life is not over. The flight sim life is just getting started because now it's real. Okay? I've got 2 type ratings that I use PMDG products on P3D to get me a type rating on the 777 and on the 737. And I told Robert Randazzo last year in Houston, I just got to say thank you. And he says, what? I said, I don't mean to take up your time. I know lots of people want to ask you questions about, PMDG and the 777 and all this other cool stuff, but thank you, because your product has worked for me. He's like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, no. He's like, you're telling me that you use the 777, and he's like, you have a type rating? And I was like, yeah, that's what I just told you. And he said, man, I need you on the beta team. I was like, are you sure? And then I told all my buddies that were there, and I was like, dude, he just said that I PMDG, like, woo! And I was like, you got it, sir. I go, but by the way, hang on, there's something you haven't touched yet. I said, how is it that you're a corporate pilot in a Falcon and we don't have a corporate jet from PMDG? Just putting it out there. I threw it at him. I took care of you guys. He does know. We'll see where it goes. All right. But you keep climbing, use the flight sim your entire airline career. When you're getting ready to go back to recurrent, start failing an engine in the PMDG 737. All right? Make sure you got rudder pedals. Just saying. All right? Thrust reversers deployed inadvertently. I wouldn't try it on the sim. It's not that good. But, you know, you got to go somewhere. Just pull one engine idle. You'll be fine. Set goals. And when I say set goals, that means set goals for tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and all the way to the end of your career. Because my goal tomorrow is to make sure that I got on the red eye tonight to make it to Miami to make sure I can fly my 2-day trip. Okay? But my goal for next week is to make sure that I at least got somewhat close to 85 hours so I maxed out for the month because I'm on reserve. My goal for next month is maybe I can bid properly that maybe I'll get a line. I probably won't. My seniority's too low. But setting those goals. And then never forget that the goals are not just for your career, but the goals are also for at home. Okay? I want to have a flight training center with people like you coming in to fly on flight simulators to come and ask questions from people like me that do it every day. But also, I want to make sure that I got time to use my Traeger. I need to barbecue. I need to smoke some meat. All right? I need to make sure that my wife gets new tires on her Tesla because she put a bubble in it. I need to make sure that my son has got the next coolest Maverick sunglasses. You know, he's 4 years old. He's got to watch Top Gun 2 every day, once a day. You know, he's like, what the heck was that? Like, whoa! Don't say every word of the Top Gun, but we're okay. All right, those are goals, and those are goals that you're going to set every day, all day, for tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. So here we are. We're in our career. We're working. And we're working towards that end goal. What's that end goal? You want to retire from at least the one of the big four, maybe. Okay, and when I say the big four, a lot of people don't put Southwest Airlines in the big four. All right, so there's American Airlines, the world's greatest airline. Then there's United Airlines, the airline that touches the most international destinations out of the United States. And then there's Delta Airlines that just makes everything look really good. All right, but then there's this company called Southwest Airlines. They're the number four largest airline in the country. All right. They fly the world's greatest airplane, the 737. All right? And that's all they fly. But they do a good job doing it, and they're sky cowboys of the sky. All right? But my first choice as an airline pilot was to have a job at Southwest Airlines. Okay? Number 2 airline was Alaska Airlines. Why? It's a niche and a company that treats you amazing. Number 3 was Hawaiian Airlines. Don't pay a lot, but guess what? At least I get to live in Hawaii. I'll be at the beach if you don't need me. I'm on call? I'll be at the beach. Don't worry, I got this natural. I got it from my mom, but it's okay. Still want to have a little sun, all right? So, but here's the thing. Now you start climbing in that goal. Let's say that Levi gets a job flying a Cessna Caravan, but now he just got a job at Mesa Airlines. He just made a full circle, okay? Now he's going to go fly the Embraer 175 where he left when he was Houston-based. That requires a type rating. Any airplane more than 12,500 pounds, you need a type rating on it to be an aircraft operator. Well, guess what? The Embraer 175, it's on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, it may not be the greatest, but don't worry. Once you get it to a job that has a 737, you're going to have the PMDG. Or you get to an airline that's got an Airbus. You got the Phoenix. Okay? Great products. Great products. All right? Maybe one day, Levi's going to make it to UPS before they get rid of the MD-11. He can use the TFDI. But you have all these things that are available right there on your flight simulator in your home. Okay? You want to go out and be an aircraft mechanic. You might want to know how these systems work when the pilots are pushing the buttons. You still want to go and learn and get that airplane. Dispatchers. Okay? I know this guy right here. He can just spit out numbers because he's weird. All right? It's like, oh, well, I looked at the weather, and you're going to need about this much gas. It's going to take you about this long, and that's where we're going to be. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. All right? So, but that career growth is going to come. But some of you, maybe you just want to stay home. You're super tight, family knit, okay? So you get your international fix from doing your virtual airlines, okay? I have 5 of my closest friends here in the airline virtual world here with me this weekend, and it was pretty awesome because we've been friends for over 20 years, and some of them are in the aviation industry and some of them are not. But they came here to make sure that they were here for me to talk to you guys, and that was bigger than anything, and I was able to barbecue for them all last night, and we had a great time, shared some great drinks. It was a good time. But find what's going to keep you motivated to keep going. Big thing is, well, that dream job, right? If I got to Southwest, that was my dream job. I don't need to fly to Europe because guess what? I'm an airline pilot, okay? I can put on a polo shirt, some slacks. I can walk up to the gate at United Airlines and be like, hey, can I have a ride? They'll be like, oh, yeah, sure, that's fine. Come on in. Free to go. Pay the taxes back. I don't have to work it. It's kind of cool to say I worked it, okay? But some people chase big airplanes. Like, oh, I have to fly the 777. I have to fly a 747. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's weird. It's weird, okay? You want to go fly at Atlas and you go to places you may not want to be, okay? I flew for Omni Airlines in 777, okay? I went to some place I didn't need to be, okay? Or it was cool to be there for 2 days, not 10, okay? Kuwait City, you guys think it's hot out here? All right. So the big thing is getting that dream job. And I'm not going to lie to you, getting that dream job is hard. Okay, so I left Mesa Airlines and I said, you know what, I'm going to go do the Part 91. Okay, so for some of you that don't know, there's Part 91, Part 135, and Part 121 in the airline industry or in the aviation industry for what type of job you're going to do as a pilot. So Part 91 are privately owned airplanes. Part 135, they are your charter, your contracted flying companies like NetJets, Flight Options, okay? And then you got 121. And 121, those are your airline guys, okay? And then there's this weird group that's called Part 125, and that's the privately owned airplanes that have really big airplanes. For a prime example, my best friend's dad, since second grade, flies for a company called the Sands Corporation. Anybody here know what the Venetian Hotel and Casino is? So they were the builders and the original owners of the Venetian Hotel and Casino worldwide, and they owned 2 747SPs, a 76300ER, an A340-500, 6 BBJs, 1 ACJ 320. They're getting their second one now. They just purchased 4 777s, all private airplanes. It would have been nice if I could have started in that direction, right? But that's okay. I left Mesa Airlines and I went to MGM Resorts International and I flew for them for 5 years. Flying Embraer products, but I flew around the world with them. Okay? A Gulfstream, 2 Embraer 1000s, 2 Embraer 500s, great airplanes. But it just wasn't for me. I was home almost every night. Yeah, the money was good, the paycheck was good, but it just wasn't for me. I wanted that dream job, put me back in the airlines. I wanted to be a number and not a name. I wanted to have a set rules. I wanted to have a set schedule. Give me the airlines. So I filled out an application, filled out a resume like my friend said. I went and did an interview prep. Okay, interview prep is big for those people that are working on their flight training stuff, looking for that first job. You know, Spitfire Elite, there's, gosh, I just spaced it, but I'd say there's about 10 different companies out there right now. Aerocrew Solutions is another one, okay? They're going to get you to know how to hammer down on your interview prep, to know what to say. You don't go out there and be like, oh yeah, I crashed 5 airplanes yesterday, and I'll fly yours just fine. No, you don't say that. But if you're a military person, you also don't say, well, I went to UPT. No, you went to undergraduate pilot training, because there's not everybody was in the military, and not everybody knows what you're talking about. Okay? When they say, who are you? You get 3 to 5 minutes to explain who you are. After that, the answer to every question should only be 2 to 3 minutes. After that, you've lost them, and they're like, all right, this guy's still talking. So be ready, because I finally got tired of just sitting around and waiting, and I phoned a friend, okay? And I'm normally not one to ask for help, but I phoned a friend, and that's Garfield Smith down here. This gentleman's been working for American Airlines for over 32 years. And I said, hey, man, I'm phoning a friend. I'm sorry, man. I hate to do this. He's like, man, I've been waiting. Hold on, send me your resume. Okay, 20 minutes later. Hey, man, you're going to have a chief pilot interview in 10 minutes. Does that work for you? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man. I went to the chief pilot. You know, we're friends. We're cool. We have drinks. I was like, he's like, it's not a video. It's a phone call. I'm like, okay, I'll keep my underwear and undershirt on. So I talked to him, 30 minutes on the phone. He said, man, it was a pleasure to talk to you. Okay. Hung up the phone. Garfield called me and said, hey, man, he told me that we need to have you here at our airline. We can't let some other airline steal you. I said, okay, well, we'll see. Yeah, you know. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I was offered an interview at American Airlines. And I made sure that I did my interview prep with Spitfire Elite every other day on a video chat, practicing my questions, practicing my answers, you know. And they're like, you know, tell me about a time, and what would you do in this situation? Oh, American Airlines, passengers first. Always include the passengers. That's the key when you apply at American Airlines. Always include your passengers. Everybody gets up. They take you like one or two at a time. They take you around this corner. There's some elevators, and there it is, the famous wall. It says American Airlines with the big logo, and there's a 767 of like 1 to 72 scale, and then there's a 787 on the other side, and we're all just like, did we make it? Soon enough, came around the corner, a good buddy of mine, he's the director of recruiting, well, was the director of recruiting at American Airlines, and he's got envelopes in his hand. There were 10 of us that interviewed, 9 of us on the other side of this wall. 9 envelopes in hand for a job offer at American Airlines. That can be each and every one of you that want to chase this dream. And it doesn't have to be American Airlines. It can be any airline you want. Or it can be any airplane job you want. My best friend's dad's very happy at the Sands Corporation after 30 years. Never forget where you departed from, though. If you took off from Las Vegas and you flew to Miami, never forget that you left Las Vegas behind you. And how do I get back? Microsoft Flight Simulator, DCS, X-Plane if you're one of those, and the virtual airline friends that you made. All right? And then pay it forward. Let somebody else know how you got there. When somebody asks you, how did you get there? Don't be afraid to tell them, because they might need that one key person to tell them that they can make it. There we go. The ground crew. These people right here are just a small increment of the people that have helped me along the way. Okay? If you look down in the front row, you'll see some of these faces. All right? This gentleman, it's his 20th anniversary, so he had to get home to his wife, but that's all right. But he was here. That's Houston in the middle, in the bottom middle picture. That was Houston last year. These guys right here, they took care of us while we were there. All right, so connections. You never know who you're going to meet. My best friend is like my little brother. He's a year younger. All he wanted to do was fly airplanes. The doctor said no, but he's still a dispatcher today, and he's telling us that we can or cannot go. All right? So just remember to say thank you. So to all of you, thank you very much. I appreciate everything you've done for me. All right? The biggest thing is just remember, you got to do a good pre-flight to make it to your destination. At the end of the day, remember I told you I was chasing a dream? I started that dream. Aim high leadership, that's where we're going to be. The first flight sim training center is going to be right here in Las Vegas next to the North Las Vegas Airport, and I'm making dreams happen for the next people coming behind me. I hope every one of you guys look at your flight simulator a little different when you come home tonight. Thank you so much again.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Colin. One more round of applause for Colin. We're going to be back.